So to bear fruit means to be successful, especially after a long period of time. Okay, so it is from, or one of the main ideas is ketchup is from the Hokkien dialect.
That's right. As the article says, there are actually a few theories about how ketchup, this English word, as well as its name, was created. So not just the word, but where this kind of tomato sauce came from, because ketchup is based on tomatoes, but it's not just tomatoes.
No.
They add other things into it. So where did this whole recipe and the name actually come from? And here we're using this adverb, actually, A-C-T-U-A-L-L-Y. Actually, it's a great adverb to use when we're talking about something and we're being more careful, more precise, or more exact with our language, all right? So we're talking about things that could be kind of general, but we're getting much more accurate, much more specific. Hey, that's a nice watch. Where did you get it? Well, I actually got it at the factory where they make them. Oh, okay. So this is giving me a little bit more of the truth, a little bit more of the very important facts.
For example, I thought I would do badly on the test, but I actually, in truth, in fact, did really well.
Wow, great.
So there are actually, or in truth, a few theories as to where this ketchup and the word and the source came from.
Okay.
A theory, spelled T-H-E-O-R-Y, theory, this is an idea to explain something, and it's often based on kind of general ideas rather than complete 100% evidence and proof. So for example, we could say there are a number of theories about why the dinosaurs all died out. Now, no humans were there, so we can't have absolute proof, but we have a lot of strong ideas based on other facts and evidence that go, okay, considering all of this, this is my theory, this is my idea.
That's right. Scientists and other smart people will come up with an idea, a theory, and then they do their tests and they try to come up with a fact, something that they know is true. But before that, it's a theory. Let's look at the theory. It says ketchup comes from a Hokkien Chinese word for a kind of sauce made from fish. So it could be from a fish sauce that maybe had some tomatoes in it or something.
Okay,
that's
well,
a theory.
British sailors likely tried this sauce in southern China during the 17th or 18th century and took it home. So they were there in Hong Kong or other ports around there. They tried the sauce. They thought, that's great. Let's bring some home or learn the recipe.
There you go. And that's why the first recipe for ketchup didn't appear in a British cookbook until 1732. So it's not actually that old of a food. And yes, when we're talking about food, this word recipe is very, very important. A recipe, well, it's a noun. It's spelled R-E-C-I-P-E. A recipe is basically the instructions on how to make a certain type of food, or maybe a drink as well, when they list out all the things you need. So you collect all those things first, and then it'll give you a process or a step-by-step instruction. So you want to make a cake. Get some eggs, get some sugar, get some chocolate, get all that stuff. First, put the eggs in here, beat the eggs, add the milk, put in some sugar, put it in the oven, and after 20 minutes of cooking, you'll have your cake. That's the recipe, the instructions on how to make a kind of food. For example, my grandmother has a great recipe for fruitcake. I love fruitcake. Well, I've certainly seen a recipe for fruitcake, but never a recipe for ketchup. I just buy it in a bottle.
True. However, as the article says, the ketchup people ate back then was quite different. The original recipe called for mushrooms, oysters, walnuts, and fish.
Fish?
No tomatoes at all.
Right.
So to call for something means to need or request or demand something or the services of someone. It basically means you have to include these things in the recipe. And one of them was mushrooms.
That's right. Mushroom, it's a noun. It's spelled M-U-S-H-R-O-O-M. It's not a room like a bathroom. It's a type of plant. It's a simple plant. They grow on the ground in often wet conditions, and there are many types of mushrooms. Some of them are very dangerous, but some of them are very delicious. Be careful if you're ever picking mushrooms. And we add them to a lot of foods to add flavor and to bring some texture and stuff like that to foods. Quite popular and easily found in many supermarkets. For example, I always put a lot of mushrooms in my hot pot.
I do.
I like those little white ones.
Okay.
Onaki, I forget.
Yeah. Well, another ingredient was
Okay.
oysters. Oysters are a kind of shellfish, and they're known for being the ones that can make pearls.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of shellfish.
They live in a little shell.
So another ingredient was walnuts, and walnuts are the large nut or seed produced by the walnut tree. And walnuts, many people like to eat them, they like to cook with them, they're useful for lots of things. Okay, so we've got walnuts and oysters and mushrooms and fish.
Yes.
So that doesn't sound like any ketchup I know.
No, it doesn't sound like ketchup. It probably also didn't look like ketchup, and it certainly didn't taste like it. Well, the sauce, it says, was probably dark and watery. So think of like a dark vinegar or something like that. And it was added to soups, meat, or other sauces. Well, yeah, fish sauce is a very common thing in South Asia, right?
Yes.
In Vietnam, they have a very well-known fish sauce. But yeah, it's not something you'd put on a hamburger or
French fries.
Put on French fries. And of course, it's missing something quite important. What's that thing that's in ketchup? It's kind of the same color.
Our article explains it by saying ketchup was still missing something. Have you got it?
No.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes, that's right.
As I would say, tomatoes.
Tomato ketchup.
Yeah, British pronunciation, tomatoes. Americans say tomatoes.
That's true.
There we go.
Tomato ketchup on your potatoes.
No, we don't.
No, you
we say
don't.
potato.
Everyone says potatoes.
Okay,
so where did ketchup come from then?
Well, the article says finally,
a
ketchup recipe from
1812
included tomatoes as an ingredient.
Hallelujah!
Now, we've been talking about recipes and foods and all these different things.
Yep.
Ingredient is an important word there. It's spelled I-N-G-R-E-D-I-E-N-T, ingredient. And it's any individual food or other substance like an herb or some salt or something that makes up a dish. It's all the things that go in there. So we could say, we're missing some ingredients for the dessert, so I need to go to the supermarket.
Okay, so when I was talking about the cake recipe, the eggs, the sugar, the milk, chocolate,
flour,
those are all different ingredients.
Yes.
And you bring them all together, mix them all together, and you will have a cake in the end. Well, let's keep going along with this long story of ketchup's birth. When do we get to real ketchup? Well, let's see. In 1867, an American named Henry J. Heinz ketchup created the first modern ketchup. Yay! Where we are.
We presume he started a big ketchup company, Heinz, which is why the ketchup has Heinz on the label.
Did he live in Fujian?
No, I think he's from the States.
Completely different, but it had a very long and interesting journey to finally get to the red tomato ketchup we know and still buy, right? Heinz ketchup is a very, very famous brand and a famous company. Cool.
Okay, well, that is the end of the story of ketchup for now. It's time for us to go to today's For You Chat question.